Welcome and welcome back to the Light Renegades. My name is Star. Thank you so much for joining me today, everyone. To those that might be new, we are the Light Renegades. We are a collective of Pleiadian beings, bringing you information from the stratospheres that are ever expanding. We are disclosing cosmic secrets and allowing for you to delve ever deeper into your sovereignty and power. But that being said, if you are here for the first time, I would put a massive trigger warning on all of our content at the Light Renegades. We do delve into some quite explosive and controversial topics over here. We do delve into aspects of dark and magic, black practices, Luciferianism, Satanism, that type of thing. So if that does pique your interest, please do head over to our playlist. There might be some more information there for you with regards to the Darkness series, and I've been channeling Aleister Crowley for some time. And you know, if you find yourself here and you think, why is this being speaking to Cobain? Why is she channeling Aleister Crowley? I have created a playlist that is titled Stars, so you can go and find out a little bit more about me and my life and how I've come to be in the position that I am, although that I don't think it's necessarily important at this time who I am. It's about how you feel and engage with our content is what I want to share. But to those that are in real time, I had an incredibly trying weekend this weekend. I found myself in a position that I think I never truly thought that I would find myself in, and there was political unrest upstairs. There was political unrest, you know, where I find myself in the UK, and it just felt like a massive weight, everyone. So I really took some time to try and just disconnect from, you know, collective energy and just send myself, you know, the energy that I needed to be in that space. And I was very grateful that in close proximity, there was no incredibly violent riots of any sort, but I know that that has been rippled out through the rest of the UK, so I was grateful for everyone that sent healing energy behind the scenes. Those that I reached out to, I very much appreciate you in that space. But I think that I've been really having to ground myself into the here and now. I think that it left a real sour taste in my mouth. You know, I think being in a space of knowing that there was political unrest, you know, from those beings of light that we seed a lot of our consciousness with at this time, it was incredibly challenging to have, I guess, foundations rocked somewhere to some degree. In many other spaces right now, and I do have something else that I'm going to share in another video that is going to be titled the energetic update, I think, and I guess a crossover with the Darkness series again, because there was some information that was brought to light that I'm incredibly proud of and happy for, and so many of you are connected to that as well. But there was a definite weight felt still behind the scenes because of what has happened, and so please do tune into the next energetic update after this video, because I think there might be information for some of you that have been here for some time. But that being said, I was back with Kurt today. I've channeled this today, everyone, a little while earlier. And, you know, now we're getting to, I think, the bits that we've all been waiting for. So many of you have had a lot of questions. I know I can sense and feel them. I can hear them. And I think, you know, Kurt's ready now to get to the bare bones of everything, of his life, of his experience, and, you know, how the negative reptilian forces come to play with regards to his life story too. And, you know, somewhere it wasn't a massive shock for me, but also it was. Him stepping forward and understanding, you know, that the NRs just really have had a place and a hold and a hand on every single aspect of life right now. And I think I will share some understandings after this channeling that will put some things into perspective for some of you, I think, out there, and perhaps make your research and understanding of where you've been positioned in your life make a little bit more sense to you. But today's channeling from Kurt was titled Knowing. And he started with, "Hey, I think that's simple enough of an introduction. If you are here and this is your first time, welcome to my mind, my cesspit, my wonderment." And he was having a laugh at me because, and that's why I smile every time I do the intro on Kurt's videos, because I can feel him laughing behind the scenes, because he, you know, he tells me I'm performing, and to some extent I am, but I have to say, you know, I have to introduce a video to new people, so what do you expect me to do? So that was his little jab at me, which, yeah, I didn't find funny. But he continued with, "What I want to share today isn't easy. It's hard to find the words. It's hard to fathom it all from this perspective. So many of you here know the truth already, but for some, this will be for the first time. What I want to share is that the music industry isn't all you think it to be. There is so much politics behind the scenes. I promise you, no band or artist in the public eye has got it their way. We tried, I tried, I was given the green light to some aspects of my art, but to others it was a no way. So much of my work was raw and unfiltered, but only now do I know why. I was infiltrated from a young age. I was molded into a mind that they knew that they could use, little by little at first, but then the waves come crashing in. I didn't want to be here and call myself a victim because everything that happened to me, my life, was all by free will. I chose to take the drugs. I chose to pursue the career and music. I chose to not heal a wound so deep that poured into me so deeply. That poured into me so deeply that I became a puppet for those beings that seek to only destroy, divide, and conquer. I wish I could say exactly when, but as I see now, it's happening right from birth. I felt it, I could see it. I knew too much, but I didn't have the evidence to back it up. My mum and others, I think, just thought me a vivid imagination, but it wasn't, it was all real. I saw things, I saw lights, I had dreams, it was all real. I spent my life trying to not care that I didn't fit in, but I did. I just didn't know how to do it like everyone else. Everyone pissed me off or I grew bored of. I wasn't willing to try and listen. I thought it better just me. I was incredibly selfish and everyone knew it. Yet people still looked after me, my ex-girlfriends, my friends. They carried my weight, my woes. I see now that they were here to try and help me. To try and help bring me back from the path that the higher realms could see that I was heading. But I didn't learn. I was pig-headed and stubborn, and this was my downfall. I have no one else to blame for my death but me, truly. I know and I see that all so clearly. Once you get a foot in the door, that's it. Your life isn't yours. You just have to start to get used to that, but I couldn't. I didn't want to work with others. I found it incredibly challenging. I wasn't taught how to share, how to care properly. If there was conflict, I would retreat in, but so far, I wouldn't be able to find my way out. My bandmates knew of my mental struggles, of my fears, but I wasn't able to fully express. I wanted to keep up appearances. It's like I never fully grew up, somewhere always a kid. I think that's because I didn't get a whole lot of time to be a kid. My mind took over, they took over, the voices become loud, the darkness even louder, and you just go in and in and in. I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know how to admit I was struggling. I thought no one would care enough or that I was just complaining. I already felt myself a burden, sly, cocky, too brainy for others. But all that my ego dialed up to a frequency so loud you can't tell the difference between yourself or it. I just wanted to play music, have enough money to not worry about my next rent bill, and where I was going to pick up weed, and to support a family someday. I did always want a family deep down. I was just terrified that it would turn out like my dad or my mom. I was terrified of fucking a kid up so royally like my parents did. And what did I do? Leave mine alone. Because of the decisions I made, somewhere I'm still having to come to terms with that. Your life must be lived by your rules, the ones that you know that come from heart, not mind. Stop listening to the mind. It can kill all joy in life. Please, if not for you, then for me, please remember this. I'll be back again soon. So much to heal, each memory a weight, a burden having to be faced. Thank you all for being with me. I know now that I've truly never been alone. And I didn't have much time with Kurt today. I realized that a lot of his energy is being worked through my own physical vessel at this time. So this will be for some of you too, depending on where you find yourself in your life path and how connected you feel into Kurt's energy. So please be mindful of this, everyone, and ask to be detaching from collective energy, from Kurt's energy. If you're feeling like your energy is waxing and waning quite a lot at the moment, there is a lot of us that are very much connected to this understanding, this consciousness that has been rippling out through the collective for some time. And I think that I had many questions moving forward within Kurt, and I wasn't given the full parameters of where this was going, but I could feel that he had many, many, many regrets, and I could feel that, this wasn't going to be exactly a story that we'd had before, because I think that actually Kurt had a lot more autonomy in his understanding and in his expression than the previous channelings that I've done. connected to Princess Diana and Brittany Murphy and also Jeffrey Epstein. I know that that's going to split the crowd, but I brought forward aspects in consciousness that I think that is really going to help us expand where we find ourselves. I'm trying to truly understand the negative reptilian regime and its influence over so many, and specifically those in the public eye. But I think Kurt, they didn't have to try too hard to coerce him into not doing what's right, is what I want to share. And that's not necessarily, well, that's a perspective shift, I think. But he knew deep down in all the decisions that he was making that, things that he was choosing to do wasn't for his highest good. He knew that this was going to be difficult on those around him. He chose to continue to do a path and walk a path that was, painful to himself, because he just hadn't been given the tools to understand that he could make a change, is what I want to share. And this is why I was being so triggered by Kurt's energy, because so much of my life, I wasn't willing to say that I was truly struggling somewhere. I always put on a brave face. I always pretended that I was okay, rather than saying, I'm really struggling and I don't know what to do here. And this idea of being too stubborn and pig-headed to ask for help, I think, is very real. And I think if everyone else that is here can be completely honest with themselves, there's been probably many times in our path where we could have asked for help and we didn't. And I think that where we find ourselves right now with Kurt's consciousness is that he's hitting the points of where he's seeing where he made, the wrong decision somewhere, and that came to him ending his life. And it being cut short for so many that he cared about. And I think somewhere he's really struggling with that notion right now in this space. So I'm not sure when he's going to be back, to be honest with you, everyone. It felt like this was a lot for him to bring forward today. And I'm grateful that we have this wider perspective, although I know that it perhaps doesn't make sense right now. And I think somewhere, unless you are very much seated in this consciousness of that the negative reptilian order has had a hand on everything, I feel like this just feels like fabric of, this feels like fantasy or fabric of imagination somewhere. And I completely understand that. I think somewhere I'm still having to grapple my own understanding, because where we find ourselves right now is just ever increasing in the understanding that the negative reptilians have had a hand on absolutely everything that is happening in the world right now. And so many figures that have been brought forward in the public eye have been there for a very, very specific reason. And Kurt Cobain was here to lead a legacy of pain somewhere, and of mental torture and of mental anguish, is what I want to share. The music of Nirvana was put out so that we would be ever sinking into a space of just torment and tragedy and sadness. His life being taken so early was all part of this plan too. I'm not going to share too much because I know that Kurt wants to tell his own story, but the whole understanding of Kurt Cobain was orchestrated so that we would be tapping into this pain time and time and time again. Anytime we listen to the music, anytime we saw, pictures of him, images of him, anytime any of us that are of a high perspective, perhaps would tap into his energy, we would be feeding into this idea of just such sadness, such grief. And, the NRs had a plan in this. This is what they wanted. They wanted to leave a legacy behind him that was just so full of pain, of suffering. And I think, there isn't a person or being alive right now that hasn't been, into this type of music, style of music, that can say that they sat there and, they felt joy listening to this music, because you can't. Like, you just feel upset for what happened in Kurt's life. You feel absolutely heartbroken for him and his family, those that he left behind. And that was their plan. That was their plan from the get-go, from this being. They hoped and they knew where he would go, given the pressure that they were putting on him behind the scenes. And, he's going to share a little bit more about that when it's time. But I just wanted to make you all aware so that you can start to make better choices for self, for your sovereignty, and, decide to connect off from certain, spaces of public media and interest right now. And I know so many of you are behind the scenes doing your own research and everything else too. I'm guilty of that. Somewhere I'm telling you to switch off from public media, but at the same time I'm having to delve back in and regurgitate information and content that I'm not necessarily wanting to delve into at this time, but it's here for research. So, seek your own understanding and your own boundaries and where you find yourself right now. But this is perhaps for those that are showing up right now, and you might have just stumbled across this video and you think, why am I here watching someone talk about that they can speak to Kurt Cobain? But I hope that this frequency has gone through you somewhere. You've gotten a deeper understanding of perhaps why you might be engaging with this music at this time. Like, is it perpetuating a cycle of upset, of mental torment, or is it because of a higher perspective? So please think about that right now. Why are you here? Why are you consuming this content? Why are you consuming any information about Kurt Cobain or Nirvana at this time? And I wasn't necessarily sure that I was going to bring out this message after this channeling, but it feels right. Somewhere behind the scenes, I've just been given an entire map of the music industry and certain people and places and spaces in time that have been brought forward so that they could seed in such a specific narrative and such a specific timeline of frequency that we've been trying to break for some time. And I'm ever grateful for this deeper knowledge, but somewhere, it is completely heartbreaking to know that every fabric of our understanding and our culture right now has been brought forward by the negative reptilian order, and we've been at the mercy of its hands since the day we are born. And it's an incredibly challenging understanding to seed in heart and truth and knowing at all times, and still remain in your sovereignty and in your happiness. So this is what I'm trying to say, everyone. Please be mindful that you need to go and have fun. You need to make sure that you are enjoying your life while simultaneously still expanding in this space. And you can all watch me absolutely crumble in this space. I was putting so much pressure on myself to be bringing channelings forward, and I think that was part of my process too. But I felt like such a weight, such a burden being here at the beginning, because I knew the weight that all of this was going to bring into my life. But I just wasn't in a space to be able to understand that I needed to seed myself here in my happiness, as well as bringing forward all of this information and understanding. And I know so many of you are in the exact same position that I am. You've just been expanding in these spaces for so long, gaining so much information, thinking to what end? And it's so that you can set yourself free. But once we have that knowledge, we then have to use it in a space of saying, I'm not going to fall victim to this understanding. I'm not going to let this understanding ruin my life. I'm going to go and have fun. I'm going to seed in my light and my happiness with those that I care about, with those that I love. And, even those that are still struggling, trying to make this an understanding for them. And there will be some in your life that will never seed in this understanding, but that has to be okay. You have to give them love. You have to show them unconditional compassion somewhere. And that's depending on where you are in your journey with those around you. But I think the most important thing to understand right now is that we are ever stepping forward into a path that is going to be incredibly challenging. We need to seed in this light at the same time. And this is definitely coming from Kurt's understanding. He's saying, for if not for yourself, then for him, especially to those that might be diehard fans out there, myself including, being in one of those. Get out of your mind, get into your life, get into your light, get into your love, and please get into your heart, whatever that means for you. And if you are struggling in any aspect of your life right now, please go and say, I need help. Go and seek that help that you know that you need. Kurt didn't do that. He was too stubborn to do that through fear of being a burden, feeling like he was already a burden. And this is something that the annals like to push, is this idea of us not feeling worthy enough to reach out to those that we do know care about us. Somewhere they make us believe that there isn't anyone out there that cares about us. And I promise you, if you have no one in your life right now and you are here watching our content, I care about you so incredibly much. Reach out to me and the Light Renegades. We will support you or find you the support that you need to help you wherever you find yourself right now. No one is ever truly alone on this path, and if you've been brought here, it's been for a reason, and we are here to support you. I promise you, you are not alone. But I think that all be from me today and Kurt. He's always in my energetic field. I feel like he'll want to speak to me after this channeling. It feels like he's ready to share some more. And I think that somewhere energetically, this is going to ripple out to the collective at such a monumental rate, that we're going to see a lot of destruction happening behind the scenes, in front of the scenes. So just be aware of that, everyone. I've definitely been in spaces where some foundations are crumbling, and it's been really challenging for me to face it all, but I'm going to share a little bit more about that in the energetic update. So please do watch out for that next video that comes up after this, whenever, and it will be today, but just for those that might be watching in not right time, just head over to the energetic update, and you will see a video in there that will title, I think, probably myself and my dark truth is what I want to share. But that's all from myself and Kurt today. Please, please, please go well, everyone. There is a lot happening behind the scenes right now, but there are still spaces for you to be seeding in your truth, your light, your sovereignty, but also to be having fun and spending time with those that you love and care about. Please, 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 everyone, this is about us seeding our light while still expanding at the same time. I've been really struggling for a few years in getting that understanding right, getting that balance right, and every day is a new day, every day is a new way of processing. There is no one linear way to be seeding in your light and your love, as well as expanding. So please listen to yourself and what you need in any given day, in any given moment, because your light will always be speaking to you if you are willing to hear your heart, is what I want to share. But that's all from me and Kurt today, and we'll be back real soon. But for now, take care.